Alright guys, so welcome to our kind of behind the scenes trail ride here. Miss and I are at the Hatfield McCoy Trails and we're just doing our thing. This is it, us out here living it.
Yeah.
We're out exploring right now.
We are. We got our map.
We're exploring.
We're not high tech. We don't have a
tablet.
tablet and all that other stuff. So we just read the map.
Actually, we do have a tablet.
It's
Full
hard
disclosure, we're not sure how to read it.
Somebody's going to teach us how to do that someday.
Well, I mean, we got the maps downloaded
Yeah.
for Hatfield McCoy, but then we're not. I mean, we're more Apple, like iPhone users, not the Android type stuff. So that's the platform that it's on, and I'm not 100% familiar with it, but I am getting an RMAX 4, and that is the platform for their system as well. So we're just going to have to get used to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But it's a beautiful day. What is it? May? What's the date today? May 14th?
Yeah, 14th, 15th.
May 14th, 15th, something like that. Middle of May. Let's shoot for that. And we're out here just having a good time. And one of the cool things about this trail that we're on right now, we're out here on, I mean, right there is 92.
And 18.
We're on the Pinnacle Creek Trail system. And we're at this intersection. What's this intersection we're at? 18, 92, and there's hardly anybody on these trails. They are super smooth. We haven't passed anybody yet, and it's Saturday.
It's Saturday, yeah,
So,
tomorrow.
but when we were on the main trails, like the connectors and going into the towns and stuff, like Pinnacle Creek, you get down along the creek. Was that 10 and all that down along the creek there?
Yeah.
That's just
26, 24, yeah, 20.
It's just a straight up rock garden because everybody uses that so much. It is absolutely beat to death. So the trails are miserable, and then you're trying to pass people, and then you got people coming out here with it's a 72-inch wide machine, and then they make it even wider. They get an offset on their wheels, which puts them out. I mean, some of those people that we passed yesterday were probably 76, 78 inches wide.
Yeah.
There's no room for that on the Hatfield McCoy Trail. Some of the stuff we're coming through, we're in a Yamaha Wolverine X2 XTR, and it's wide enough just for us to get through. So, man, I would not recommend making your machine super wide or bringing something super wide here, because it's not just you that's out here on these trails. You got to pass people. And some of these drop-offs,
they go way down.
Miss gets freaked out every time I even start to get close to it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll stay on the away from the drop off, and I'll eat brush and limbs and bumps and mud and everything else just so she doesn't get close to the edge, because she's gonna freak out. But
yeah, it is pretty crazy.
it's all right. So let's do some cruising. Where are we going?
Do some cruising. Well, I'm thinking that we're gonna head over here and do Trail 19. And the cool thing about this map is it's actually color-coded, so you can't see it, but if you download it, you can see it. They have green and blue, and there's some blacks on here. I'm not a fan of the blacks. He likes the blacks, but if he's by himself, he can go do the blacks, but I'm not going with you.
I mean, I just like the challenge. I like
Yeah.
I like a challenge where you have to work with the vehicle to overcome the obstacles. It's not so much that you're going to fly through there and, you know, you're just GNCC or Baja. I just like the slow, technical, like just thinking, picking my line, and what can the machine do? That's the thing that interests me, is what is this thing capable of?
Well, and you do have a Warren winch on here, so if you have to winch yourself out, right?
Absolutely. The XTR comes with a Warren winch stock, and I put the Warren hub on so I can control it from my phone, or Miss can control it from the phone if I'm in a bad situation.
The nice thing about the Pinnacle Trail, though, that I like is you can go down there by the creek, because that is beautiful down there.
Yep, absolutely.
So, like, driving down by the creek, it's just awesome. You ride for a long way by the creek, too. And there's, like, just a lot of splashing and a lot of water. So if it is hot out, that makes for a really nice time.
That's true.
But where we're at today, we're, like, on the opposite side, up on the top end of the Pinnacle Creek. And these trails have been smooth, huh?
They're nice. There's like hardly any traffic on these things because they're not all destroyed and beat up, you know.
And it's thick. It's like, it's pretty cool up here. I like it up here.
It's what is it? Saturday about what is it? 2 o'clock.
Yeah, and we haven't even passed anybody up in here.
Saturday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the Pinnacle Creek Trail System at Hatfield McCoy, and we haven't passed anybody except for when we were coming onto the trail system.
Yeah.
Because you get out here, there's not that many people here. So
Yeah.
I would highly recommend maybe not taking the route that everybody else takes if you come here and go riding. You kind of you're gonna go out around. It's gonna seem like it's a little bit longer, but man, you're getting off the beaten path and you're riding some really premium stuff, and the views are amazing. I mean, you just look down and right now, like, everything is getting really lush and green, and you never know what you're going to see. We saw a couple deer. Mrs. hoping to see a bear.
I hope to see a bear.
The one time we were here, oh, it might have been 2 years ago now, we saw a bear in the middle of the trail sitting there eating apples. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool, but we're hoping to see something like that.
Another really cool thing about their maps here at Hatfield McCoy that a lot of places, I know there's been places we've been that don't think about this, but like if you're on a blue trail, it doesn't turn into like a black trail. So you don't get it in above your head like if you're trying to ride, and you know, it'll circle back around, and even a green trail, it'll circle back around and stay green.
Well,
Right.
and I think that's important if you're bringing kids or riders that aren't so good, or you know, maybe not a lot of seat time, or they get a new machine and they aren't sure what it's going to do. And that's the thing. You get a new machine, you aren't sure what it's going to do, how it's going to handle, what the capabilities are. You got to kind of get to know that machine and get comfortable with it before you just go jumping on a, you know, a black trail.
And, you know, bringing kids here too. What do you think about that? Like, I
Man.
know yesterday we were on the trail and people on dirt bikes, nothing against dirt bikes at all, but flying around the corner, and I mean, we almost hit two different dirt bikes head on because they were not.
Well, they almost hit us.
Yeah.
I literally stopped, and they
Yeah.
couldn't get stopped. They were sliding sideways.
Yeah.
They were grabbing everything they could to try and stop because
Yeah.
they were flying.
Yeah.
And then also, we saw a couple ATV riders that were riding like they were the only ones here on this trail. Same thing. They were going way too hot around blind corners. And I know they think they can get stopped, but if it's just a little bit wet, man, those guys ain't getting stopped. And some of those corners, there is nowhere to go. I mean, you're committed. You're going to eat it. So coming here and just realizing that you're sharing these trails with other families, man, this ain't a place to come hot rod. If you want a hot rod, Durham town in Georgia, you know, if you live near that, that's a one-way trail system. Some of the one-way trail systems that are out there, that's a great place to go if you want to really turn up the heat. But the Hatfield McCoy Trail is not the place to do that.
It's funny, I was talking to our friend Rodney, who was riding with us, and I mean, he's in NASCAR. They go fast all the time, but even out here, he said, you know, you got to be careful because there are so many people out here on the trails. It's a lot of people out here on the trails, so you got to be mindful that you have other people come in the other direction.
And I think one of the first times that I rode with the NASCAR guys, and you don't know what to expect because they've got these really awesome machines. I mean, they've got some badass rides, and they got a lot of money in them, and they're fast, but they don't necessarily use it. You know, it depends where they go. And one of the first times I went riding with them, there was a guy leading the pack who was not a part of the NASCAR crew. He just came along with us. Somebody who was a friend of theirs. And we weren't far into the trail, and this dude was getting on it pretty good. He was cruising along, and Tony Gibson came across the radio, and he was probably in third or fourth place, you know, on our trail ride. He came across, he said, "Hey, back up off the race pace." He said, "These are all two-way trails. There's families here. We gotta slow her down and be respectful." And I was like, wow, like these guys aren't just out here ripping and tearing ass and not worried about everybody. They were worried about the families. And so, I mean, I thought that was pretty cool to see guys that come from that background respect the trail system and other people that are using it.
Yeah.
But
they're a good time.
I'm
We had a
ready.
good time riding with them, didn't we?
Had a great time. I mean, unfortunately, their time on the trail is not very long. Yesterday, well, when we rode with them, we did 117 miles, which was a pretty good ride, and they had to bug out. You know, they had to roll. You know, Rodney was going to jump on a plane to head to Dover for that race, and you know, Tony, he's you know, the general manager, or the I forget what his correct title is, but he's in charge of Stuart Haas there, you know, the race teams and stuff, and he had to go too. He has to go do his thing. So, you know, the weekends is when they do their deal.
And this is when we do our deal.
And this is when we do our deal. This is what we do. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, you guys have the dream job. All you do is get out and ride." And yeah, there is a lot of cool stuff to it. A lot of great elements, and Miss and I get to do it together. And you know, realistically, I really wouldn't want to do anything else because I really enjoy doing this with Miss. We have a good time. I mean, there's times we don't get along. Don't get me wrong, but that's pretty slim. And but when you're with somebody constantly, 24/7, 365, we work together, we live together, we do everything together. You know, every now and then you're not really going to see eye to eye, but that's not too often. But we have a good time and we enjoy it. And you know, you guys watching this, if you're a couple, if you have a family and you have kids, we hear it all the time about how, you know, maybe you were sitting at home on the couch and you were not digging your woman, you know, and you were getting ready to get a divorce or whatever, and you saw this and were like, well, let's give it a shot. You know, and years later, here you are out with your friends and family, and you're out riding and doing your thing and being like, yeah, we love it. This is what keeps us together. So, you know, riding and off-roading and outdoors in general, I think is great for the family, and it's I think where we need to go a lot more, because you know, the kids need to experience this kind of stuff and get out and get away, like cell phone service. You really don't have a lot of it out here. You don't have no video games out here. You know, you're just kind of, you're one-on-one, and you have that opportunity to talk. You know, we do tours in Nashville, Tennessee, or a little bit south of Nashville. Off-road, side-by-side, guided tours. We have some families come there, and the mom and dad and the kids aren't even talking. And you can tell that the kids aren't excited about being with the mom and dad doing this. They want to be off doing their own thing. And as the ride progresses, you know, we see them starting to laugh, or like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe you did that. Or like, you know, until they get back, they're laughing and they're soaked and they're wet and they had a great time, and they're going to go and talk about it, and they're going to talk about that forever. You know, 20 years from now, they're going to be like, man, you remember when we went and did that side-by-side thing and Dad hit that water hole so fast and it was like Splash Mountain. Those are the kind of things that the outdoors and off-roading can provide for us as families. So, you know, for us, it's a blessing to be out here doing this.
Yeah, sure is. We going to get some more seat time in this
I'm ready.
X2?
I'm ready to go.